Hello, welcome to Chair Yoga. One of our new classes is going to be featured in a weekly rotation. So I hope you enjoy it. Do note though, I will teach this mixed level, and this is not silver sneaker style chair yoga. So we will be standing, we will be seated, we will be on the floor. So if silver sneaker style is what you're looking for, you may or may not be happy with this, but I encourage you to at least try it. So for today, for props, now I've got a couple blocks here. You see my feet being on a block. This is because I am 4 foot 10 inches tall. And so for me to sit correctly without my hip flexors trying to take over, as you can see here, maybe a little bit better from a side view. I'll show you. Here's me sitting without. You can see how my thighs are not parallel to the floor. But if I take my block here and put my feet on it while we're doing seating things, I'm in a little bit more of a comfortable position. So that's why I have blocks. If you're taller, you might not need those, but just know that they are handy if you're a shorter person. So I am sitting not all the way up against the back of my chair. I'm kind of in the middle of my chair here, and I'm sitting nice and tall. Okay. And let's just go through a little bit of breath. A big inhale and reach up, maybe look up. Good. Now, as you're up here, you want to really elongate the side of the body. Good. And then we'll look center, turning palms away, grow taller from crown to tail. Let's go again. Big inhale and reach. Exhale, grow taller from crown to tail. Good. Let's take that again. Big inhale. Good. Look up there at those hands, touching the palms together. Exhale, hands in the heart center. Creating an intention for this practice. So if this is your first time doing chair yoga or chair yoga with me, maybe having open heart, open mind might be a good intention for you. Maybe the intention is the joy of trying something new and different. And then from here, once you have that set with inhale and reach, reach, reach. Good. Now I'm going to take my left hand to the side of my chair, and I'm getting a light pressure when I do that into the chair as I side bend over. Okay. So when you side bend, think about your rib cage coming out a little bit, not so much where this arm is going here. So I'm actually keeping a long arm here because I get a deeper stretch down that side body when I do that. Good. And then from here, I'm going to come back to center and reach. And we'll do that on the other side. So I've got my hand on the side of my chair. I'm lightly pressing in as I side bend to the other side. Breathe and expand. And then when you're ready, good. We're going to come back up. Let's go into a couple little neck stretches here. I'm just going to let the chin fall towards the chest. Getting that nice stretch on the back of the neck. Coming back to center, let's take the chin and the gaze for the ceiling and the wall meet. That might be enough for some people. Those of you that want a little bit more, take your jaw forward and then get that nice little stretch here. And coming back, left ear, left shoulder. So if you want to intensify that a little bit, let that right arm come away. I'm kind of pressing back slightly here with that arm as well. Good. And you can play with different angles that you need for the side of the neck. And then coming back to center. Good. Right ear, right shoulder. You can stay here if this is enough. You can play with different angles. You can press that left arm down and behind you a little bit. And coming back to center. Keeping the shoulders and the sternum forward. Move only the neck and the head to the left and to the right. Good. Let's take the arms out to the side. Let's find some rotation. And then let's take those palms towards the ceiling, hands to the shoulders, and we're going to move forward and back here. Good. So as I move the elbows forward, I want to try to separate the shoulder blades. As I bring my elbows back, I want to try to squeeze them together. but I'm not flopping around here with my upper body. So I still want that nice core connection for control. You can stay here. You can take some circles. Okay. If you took circles, let's do that in the opposite direction. All right, let's take this into a gentle twist now. So from here, I'm going to take my right hand. I'm going to place it on my left thigh. Your left hand can be anywhere behind you on your chair that feels good for your body. We want the length before we twist. So just kind of hold on to the side of my chair here, but I want the length before the twist. Breathe and expand. Remember, your hand is just here, so there shouldn't be any, pulling, tugging, cranking in the spine, anything like that. And then we'll come back to center. Let's take that again. So my left hand is going to come outside of the right thigh. My right hand is going to come somewhere behind here for support. I'm lengthening and then I'm twisting. Good. Look where you're going. Breathe and expand. And then we'll come back to center. Good. Right before we come into standing, let's get into some nice seated cat-cow. So I'm just going to move my block a little bit out of the way here as I shift. Actually, I'm going to take that with me. And I'm just going to turn sideways a little bit here just so you can better see what I'm doing. But certainly I'm going to encourage you to sit the way that we were just sitting in your chair. But I'm going to be right here. Good. So maybe hands are on the knees. I'm lifting up. Good. Chest is forward, looking up. There's your cow pose. Exhale, round. Here's your cat pose. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Now on this one, I'm keeping my arms long here. I'm using my knees as a little bit of leverage. You don't have to use leverage. You can just go where it feels good for you. Good. Let's do one more round. Good. And back to center. Okay, we're going to come to standing here. So for this sequence, I'm gonna move my blocks out of the way here. I am going to turn my chair towards me. I'm just going to turn it this way. Okay. So from here, my feet are about hip width apart. They can be slightly wider if you need that. I'm zipping up nice and tall. I'm going to take my arms up and I'm just going to do a little bit of a squat. Notice how I've got a long spine here. Press through the heels and the glutes and come up. Little squat. Notice that little stretch in the back here and come up. Little squat and come up. Good. Let's take that squat a little bit deeper. Hands are going to come to the side of the chair. Good. Now from here, I'm going to lengthen my legs, coming forward a little bit, getting that little stretch down the back. Now I'm going to sink back just a little bit here. Good. And then coming back up. When you're doing these poses, including down dog that we're going to do in a moment, when your hands are on the chair, you want to be careful that you don't pull that chair toward you because you don't want your chair to tip over. Good. Now, you can readjust where your hands are based on your needs. If you find when you do this, if you're too close to the chair, just take this back. Take the legs back. Good. And then just find, so here's a little modified down dog here. So my ears are by the bicep. Okay. My knees are slightly bent. Some of you that have more yoga experience might want to take the legs back even a little bit longer. Good. Hinging the hips back a little bit more. Notice how I'm not letting my chest come towards the floor. I'm keeping my ears by my biceps, just like you would if you were on the floor doing down dog. Now, just like down dog, if you want to lift one heel and alternate, you could do that here. Your belly button is in. Good. And maybe you want to come on both toes and drop. Good. Now, good. We're going to start to build a little bit of heat here. So from your down dog where you are, could you just shift forward, finding a little chair plank? Yes. Notice how you're nice and long. Form is exactly the same. You're pressing away from your chair. just like you would press away from the floor. Good. And then I'm just going to shift the hips back, finding that downward facing dog. And then we'll come back forward, finding your plank. And then finding downward facing dog. Belly button is still in. Good. And we'll come forward, finding that plank. Now, you have an option here to hold this plank. Different people need different things. If deep extension is not for you, then skip this one. But we're going to do a modified up dog here. So my belly button is in, and I'm just going to come up. Good. And look up. So this is not deep. I'm not hanging in the low back. I'm not trying to touch the chair with my hips or anything like that, but I'm nice and controlled. Good. And then I'm going to come back to the plank and come back to the down dog. Good. And then from here, when you're ready, good, we're going to come back to seated. So I'm just going to walk the feet back in. I'm going to turn my chair back this way here so you can better see. Good. And then I'm going to bring my block back where they were. Okay. So from here, we're going to go into an opposite arm, opposite leg flow. So this is going to be a little bit of core work here. So we're going to keep this basic in the beginning. So we're zipped up, we're nice and tall. Remember, we're not sitting all the way back against the chair. You're in the middle to the front part of your seat. So from here, as I take my left arm up, I'm going to zip up, and I want my abs to lift the right knee. Okay. And I'm going to take that down. And then right arm comes up, abs lift the left. Good. And you can keep going in this marching position here. How high you lift the knee depends on your own body. Good. Really focus on the abs doing the lifting. If you're not kind of focused there, then your hip flexors take over this muscle, these muscles right here, and then it's just not comfortable. Now, this is basic. Those of you that want something a little bit more challenging, good. Your arm is going to swing up and your leg's going to come long and lift. In fact, I'm going to kind of take this to the side here. Good. There we go. There we go. And this is harder than it looks. And we do this when standing sometimes, but it's a little bit of a different perspective when you're seated. I think it's just as hard when you're seated as when you're standing, but they're harder in different ways. Good. Now, from here, we're going to go to bicycle. So I'm just going to turn, you're fine to be where you are. I'm just going to turn this way just so you can see better. Good. So this one, good. Your hands are going to be back here or wherever you're comfortable. Good. Kind of think about it as we're going to do a chair Navasana, a chair boat pose. So I'm just going to lift here. Good. I've got a long spine just so that you can see that. Good. And then I'm just going to start with a little bicycle. Belly button is in. Good. You're in charge as to how big or small you make them. Let's reverse pedal. Woo. Good. Now, could we hold? Good. Now, if you've got good balance, a good strong core, you can release your hands here, finding a little bit more challenge. I am leaning back, but I'm not leaning back on my chair. My back is not touching the back of the chair. And then from here, good, we're going to come back down. Good. All right, let's get into some modified standing poses here. So for me, because I'm short, I'm going to have this block kind of in front, so my front foot can rest on it. I won't need one for the back. So I'm seated. I'm turning this way, so it's going to be my right leg. It's going to be my support leg, and my left leg is going to be the one that goes back. Now, for beginners, good. You want to be on the edge here, okay? Because if you're too far in, then your leg's not going to have the freedom to move. Okay, so you want this leg to be able to freely move. So from a beginner standpoint, good. We'll square off your hips a little bit. Maybe you just start with this leg right here. And then over time, as you open up, you start to slide it back and slide it back and slide it back until one day you can be like those with a little bit more experience. You've got a little bit more strength and power. You can press back through that heel. Good. and then find a crescent here. So I'm still zipped up. You can have one hand on your chair. For me, that would be the right hand if you're going to do that, or both hands up. Good. Now I'm still kind of strong into this front foot here. Even though the chair's got the bulk of my weight, I'm still very active. And I'm breathing and I'm elongating, but I'm keeping my shoulders in their pocket. Now from here, you can stay. You can disengage a little bit this back leg if you need to, or good, find that little length here, little core action. And coming back up. So when you come back up, you'll probably feel a sensation in your right hip. Pressing in as you come back up, that's fine. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let's do that one more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Now, again, those of you that are beginners, you might not be as strong back here, so you can let this droop until you are. Others, warrior prep that back foot. So I'm still turning hip, knee, and toe in that alignment. Good. And then I'm just going to open my hips just a little bit here. So remember, hips are about 45-ish degrees. And then I'm going to open my chest. So here we are in a chair warrior 2. So I'm really reaching and lengthening here. Good. Be strong back here if you can. I'm still pressing through the edge of that heel, the edge of that foot. Belly button is in. Let's take this into an exalted warrior variation. So I'm just going to come back and reach. Inhale, exhale, coming up, finding your warrior 2. Let's take this into an extended side angle. So I'm going to lengthen. Good. You can have a forearm here if you'd like. You can have it down. This is another place where a block, is kind of helpful, where the floor comes up higher to you. You can leave your left arm up here or reach it over, getting a nice stretch. Belly button is in. I've really come recently liking this particular pose on the chair. I feel like I can get a little bit more elongation here and focusing on that, and a little bit less with what my legs are trying to do to support me. And then my arm's going to come up. Good. I'm using my abs as I come back up. Find that warrior 2. Good. Now from here, we're going to come into a transition. I'm going to take my arms up. Good. And I'm just going to rotate hips in the back of that leg. We're back in that crescent. Belly button is in. And one more time, let's take that little core challenge. And coming back up. Good. From here, we're going to take that all to the other side. So I'm just going to reshift here. And I like that block on the other side for my extended side angle. So I'm going to bring that other block here. Good. So again, remember, you want to be seated on the edge so that your floor leg here, this outside leg, has that freedom to move. Good. With or without the block, I'm a short person, so I'm going to put my left foot now on this block. Good. So remember, hips are going to come forward for this first one. We're coming into that crescent. So take this leg where you need to take it. You can hold on for support. Maybe you're a little bit, maybe you're a little bit more. Maybe you're all the way back there. Okay, find what you need. Belly button is in. One hand or two hands, reaching it up. Relax the shoulders. Come back to that intention. Open mind, open heart, or whatever it is that you chose. Here we go with that little core intensive. So belly button is in. Long spine as you come forward. And coming back up. Lengthen as you come forward. And come back up. Let's do that one more time. Lengthen as you come forward. Belly button is in. And coming back up. Good. Now, transitioning into that warrior 2. My hips are going to turn a little bit as I rotate 45 degrees, my hip, my knee, and my foot. And again, if this is you for your warrior two, then that's just where you are today. Good. So find the form that you need. Hips are 45 degrees. Good. I'm going to open my chest to the side. So I'm in a nice chair, warrior two. My gaze is off the tip of the fingers. The belly button is in. And I'm kind of pressing into both feet a little bit on this side, just seeing different types of engagement. Sometimes we don't know things until we try. Good. Belly button is in. Let's take this into an exalted warrior variations. We're going to take that back, reaching up. Always returning to the breath, returning to intention. And then we'll come back, finding your warrior two. Good. Let's find that extended side angle. So I'm going to lengthen. Good. Forearm can come here. You can take your hand down. Top arm can come up and maybe take it over. Good. And we're opening up that chest a little bit here. Now you should be a little bit more open because you're in a chair, so it's a little bit easier to come into this one than when you're on the floor. And then when we're ready, good, arms gonna come up. Good, using those abs, come back to the warrior two. We're gonna come back to that crescent, so be mindful of your transition. Hip, knee, and toe of the back leg are gonna turn back forward. Hips are gonna turn forward. Reach, good. Take the back leg where you need to take it, your own intensity. And then we'll go into that little core challenge again. So zipping up, good. We're gonna lengthen a little bit here. And then coming back up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let's take that one more time. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Great job from here. Good. We're going to come back to standing. We're going to go back to that down dog plank flow. So I'm just going to come and turn my chair this way. Good. So a lot of this too is playing around trying to find your placement. So I'm just going to, with a long spine here, don't just kind of collapse and do this. Be in good form. Good. So this might be your down dog for some of you. Some of you are going to take your legs a little bit farther back. I'm going to shift my hips back here. My ears are by my biceps. Good. And if you're worried about your chair sliding, remember, you can always practice your chair, put your chair on your mat. That'll help. So let's go back. Let's go back to walking the dog here. Good. Now, from your down dog, inhale, exhale, shift forward, find your plank. Good. And then exhale, taking it back. Inhale, find your plank, find good form. Exhale, taking it back. And again, inhale, finding your plank. Add on with up dog if you want that, if that's safe for you to take it there. Good. If you took up dog, find your plank, then find down dog. We'll do that again. Coming forward, find your plank, staying here, or finding a little up dog and taking it back. Now, from here, we're going to add a little bit of strength training into this. So where your plank is, it's going to kind of dictate somewhat how this works. So it's going to be harder if you're in a long plank. It's going to be easier if you bring your feet in closer and do this from here. So yes, we're going to do push-ups from here. So easier, the closer you are, not the hips, but hands, elbows, shoulders are going to turn inward. So fingers are pointing towards each other. They do not have to be perfectly like this. They're just kind of going in that angle, or a little bit harder. Step out into your plank. Good. So once you're in good form, here we go. Halfway down and push. Halfway down and push. halfway down and push, halfway down and push. Good. I'm going to take my feet in a little bit and I'm going to shift back. Maybe putting a little bend in the knees here. Let this one really be restful, not as active. And then let's take this into a wide leg forward fold here. So like anything else, where you grip is going to depend on your height and what feels good to you. Some people are going to do better gripping up here. Some people are going to hold to the side. Some people are going to hold here. So it just kind of depends. So I'm going to take my legs out wide. Good. And then I've got my feet parallel. So my hips, knees, and toes are tracking forward here. Let me move my chair a little bit more. Okay. I know my mat just got out of alignment here with the camera, but that's okay. So zipping up. If you need to bend the knees first as you come in, do so. Otherwise, you can come here. You can be up here. Be where you need to be. Good. And then I'm just going to hinge my hips back. I'm keeping my spine long. I'm walking my hands out. As you become more proficient, you might take the chair farther and farther away from you. Find what you need. Ears by the biceps. Belly button is in. Now, if you have more experience and you just want to go ahead and take the hands to the floor from here, then that's okay too. Just take them to the floor. And you can go all the way down. Find what you need, what your body needs you to have. This is a good one too. If you have trouble sitting tall on the floor, even if you're sitting on a block or a folded blanket, this is a good one to practice up against the wall. Your bottom's going to be up against the wall, and then you just move this out as needed, and you practice that over time. And then from here, I'm just going to come back up and step my feet in. Good. From here, we're going to come back seated. So we're going to come to a seated twist. A little bit different than the first one we did. So I'm going to come back. That's my block here. I'm seated in the center or the front portion of my chair. Good. And my feet are flat. Good. So you can go back to the seated twist that we did in the beginning where you have one hand behind, your other hand is here, and you're twisting. Those of you that want something just slightly different, start by taking your right leg over the left. It's kind of like you're in an office setting and you've got your legs crossed, and then we will twist from here. So we're actually going to twist this way. So I've got my right hand behind me somewhere if you want it. Left hand can come onto the outside of the right thigh. Lift and lengthen first, and then take your twist. Breathe. Breathe. And we'll return. Good. Now, while we're here, those of you with the legs crossed, you can bring this ankle up right above the knee for a little figure four here. If you're like, that's too tight, I can't get to figure four from there. Take your left leg long. I know you can't see my foot. Good. And then just kind of cross or pick up and put this foot here and then slide that foot in to get up there. So that's an easier way to get up there. Some people can't at all. So maybe you just need to be more down here to get your hip opener. So it's all about play. It's all about figuring out what works for your body, what doesn't. Good. And then from here, good. My hand is not on my knee. It's right up above that on the thigh. I'm giving a gentle pressure. And then I'm going to release that pressure. And I'm going to give a gentle pressure and release. Gentle pressure and release. My belly button is in. I'm still sitting tall. Good. Now, I've got a gentle pressure here. You can stay there a little bit. If you want something a little bit deeper in that right hip, lean forward, long spine, you'll get a deeper stretch there. It's another little nice one to do. If you sit at the desk a lot, if you've been on a plane for several hours, when you get off and get to a good spot, these are great ones to do. And then when you're ready, good. we'll come up from there. We're going to take that all to the other side. So remember, we are going to twist to the left here, so you can keep legs uncrossed. Those of you that want to cross, we're going to cross the left leg over the right. Good. My right hand is on the outside of that thigh. My left hand is holding on to the chair somewhere behind me. Find your length and then find your twist. Breathe and expand, returning to your intention, relaxing those shoulders. And when you're ready, good, we'll release and we'll come back. So again, find your figure 4 where you need it. So I'm just going to come here. If this leg needs to come long and you need to kind of do the drag and cross over, do so. Now from here, the compression. Left hand is not on the knee. It's right up from that. So I'm going to give a gentle pressure and come back up. Get just a few rounds. Anytime you're doing this gentle pressure, if you feel pain, numbness, tingling, or burning, you want to not do that. Good. And envision maybe that pain scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most painful, 1 being the least painful. Maybe not take it past the 6. If you're kind of wondering where to go there, good. Now I'm just going to stay right here. You can stay here, or you can come forward, deepening that hip opener a little bit. So you want a long spine here if you're doing this hip hinge. Get no benzies in the spine or the back. And then when you're ready, good, we'll come up from here. Good. I'm going to undo. We're going to come down to the floor. We're going to do a couple things down there, and then we'll go right into our Shavasana. So I'm just going to move my blocks out of the way. I won't need them anymore. Okay. And I'm going to move my chair. I'm going to take my chair, there we go, this way. Good. And then the way that's best for you, you can always bend your knees as you come down here. Good. We're going to come onto our back, and we're going to put our heels on this chair. Now, I have a little cushion on my chair, so I don't need to put anything up here. If you've got a harder surface, you can always put a folded blanket or something like that up there so it's a little bit more comfortable. Another thing you can do if you're short, like me, you can take your blanket. Oops. And once you get your feet up here, good, you can do a little bit of a lift and have those hips a little bit more elevated, which for me, being a short person, feels a lot better, a lot more comfortable. Okay, but just a suggestion, not a requirement. So from here, we're going to go into some bridges. So you don't want anything underneath. Your arms, and I'm going to kind of come under my blanket a little bit here, are going, and shoulders are going to press into the floor with this, just like they would if we were on the floor. And I'm just going to bring my knees in just a little bit here. I've got my heels on, my belly button is in. How high you come depends on your body. It's no different than in the floor. You're just going to get a little bit more range being on the chair. So belly button is in nice and tight. Inhale, exhale, press arms and shoulders into the floor, press the heels in, find your bridge. If you feel that bone at the base of the neck popping out, you're too deep into that bridge. And then we're going to lower that back down. Good. So we're going to get a couple of these here. And you can keep this pretty basic right here. If you want a little bit more challenge, you can certainly do this one leg at a time. Good. And then if you do one leg, don't forget your other leg. Good. And then taking that down. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle those knees from side to side. Belly button is in because the spine is going into a little rotation here. Good. Now, I'm going to take the soles of the feet together, and I'm just going to let those feet rest on the edge of the chair. So you want to make sure that the edge of the chair is not on the ankle. That'll be uncomfortable, so you might have to kind of wiggle around there, but I'm just going to let those knees open to the side. So nice little supine cobbler's pose here. I'm feeling a nice inner thigh stretch here, a little bit of an opening in the hip, and I even feel a little bit more opening in that low back as well. Good, and breathe, returning to intention. Now, if this feels really good and you want to stay here longer, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I'm going to bring my knees back in. I'm going to take my hands behind my right thigh, and I'm just going to pull in here. Good. You can also play with this angle, doing a little bit more happy baby-ish, turning the hip and the knee out to the side, kind of coming out. You can take a modified half happy baby here if you'd like. Just kind of find what you need. And then we'll release, and we'll do that to the other side. So hands behind that left thigh. I'm just going to pull in. And again, if you want to play with different angles, doing different things, you can. Good. And then release. So we're going to come into Shavasana from here, and we will do a guided relaxation while we're here. So this is really nice. To just let your legs, I'm just kind of moving them back a little bit more, just relax on the chair. If you just don't like that, you can always move the chair out of the way and come to a traditional one. But actually, I'm going to move this chair in just a little bit more here. Good. For me personally, I like, if I'm going to do this one, I like the back of the knee be up against this back part of the chair. I just feel a little bit more supported there, but everybody's a little bit different. Good. And then once you get where you're going here and kind of settling in, it's okay if the knees kind of open a little bit to the side. Good. Just kind of sink in a little bit, get a nice breath going here. Nice expansion in the rib cage. And big exhales. Good. And then we're going to start at the toes. So whether you're elevated or not, we're just going to start at the toes. And can you relax and release through the toes? Relaxing and releasing through the heels and the ankles. The calf muscles. The shins. The backs of the knees. The tops of the knees. The hamstrings. The front thighs, the quads. The gluteal muscles. The front of the pelvis. The low back. The low belly. Maybe the mid back. Releasing through the mid belly. The fingers. The hands. The wrists. The forearms. Elbows. The triceps. Biceps. Releasing through that mid back. The rib cage. The upper back. The chest. The shoulders. The shoulder blades. The throat. The neck. The jaw. Even relaxing the tongue. Releasing through the face, the cheeks. The eyes, temples, the back of the head, the forehead. Breathe deep here for just a few more moments. Returning to yourself, taking some deep breaths. Choose stillness, or taking head and neck from side to side. Choose stillness, or invite movement of the fingers and the toes. Choose stillness, or bringing knees back into the chest one at a time. You can even lift up a little bit here if you want to do that. Lowering back down. And then from here, I'm going to press into my heels. I'm going to lift my hips. I'm going to take that blanket out from under me. You can take your legs overhead here and really reach, pointing and flexing the feet. Maybe reaching arms long behind you. Ooh. Bending and stretching the hands. Now you can still roll the ankles in one direction. If it would feel good to you to, and some of this is going to depend on the chair, you can always move the chair out of the way. Some people are open under the chair and can take the feet under there. You can find a nice full body stretch here. And then when you're ready, good. Knees will bend. Carefully roll over to your side, whether your feet are still on the chair or not. And then once you're ready, knowing you can take all the time that you need here, or pressing yourself up to a seat. And we're going to stay seated here on the floor at the end. I'm going to come back to Sukhasana, easy seated, cross-leg posture, or coming to any posture that would feel good to you. Big inhale and reach, 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 touching palms together. Exhale, hands in heart center. Coming back to that intention you made at the beginning of this class. Open heart, open mind. The joy of trying something new if this is your first time. We'll take thumbs to the forehead for good and true thoughts. To the lips for good and kind words. And to the heart for open and loving hearts. Knowing no effort on this mat in chair is ever wasted. No gain is ever reversed. May you be safe. May you stay well. May you have a wonderful day, evening, week, month, season ahead. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.